I don't know what it means for us, but it means so now Travis going to Jacksonville. I think they'll play him on offense first. Is that crazy? They said they was going to. They believe it. I don't know how they track.
We are at the hospital because we are dealing with okay. We are dealing with bladder cancer. And he is having his bladder removed, and they will create a new bladder with one of his intestines. And this option was, I guess, the best because it fully removes the cancer to ensure that it doesn't come back, because it was close to his muscle. So yeah, we are here to fully remove the bladder.
Texting the boys. It's their first day of practice today, and I'm excited.
Coach, don't kill the messenger. Everyone seen Karrueche by your side during your hospital visit. Everyone wants to know what that friendship is about.
We got a bad connection. I got a bad. I can't.
You gotta go.
I can't back.
Shout out to Coach Prime, man. Coach Prime, man. Clap it up for Coach Prime, man. Coach Prime is wonderful, man. Got a bad connection, baby. Karrueche.
Somebody better say something.
Listen, I'm good friends with Tracy Edmonds. And I do remember Tracy hearing rumors about Karrueche possibly dating Deion. So she saw her at an event. I think it was Niecy Nash's event. And she, calmly, just in conversation with her, she asked her if she was dating Deion, and she said no. She laughed it off and said no. So, it was kind of like to hear it and to see this now. But look at them too. Like they look very cozy, like they were friends. Like that's Tracy and Karrueche.
Claudia, I can see the picture.
They say karma always spins the block, and this time, it might have come wearing designer heels. Tracey Edmonds just threw a perfectly iced shot straight at Karrueche Tran, and the streets are convinced it's about the man in the middle, NFL legend Deion Coach Prime Sanders. We're talking whispers of stolen fiancés, overlapping love timelines, and receipts that trace all the way back to another woman who once accused Tracy of doing the exact same thing. And now, the claws are out, the tea is boiling, and this love triangle has officially turned into a full-circle soap opera. Tracey Edmonds didn't just speak. She slid her words across the internet like a knife through silk, leaving everybody wondering who she just cut. One cryptic social media post, no tags, no names, but the shade was so cold you could almost see the frost forming on the screen. Fans didn't need her to spell it out. They connected the dots in record time. And all those dots led to one name, Karrueche Tran. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Just hours earlier, Karrueche and NFL Hall of Famer Deion, Coach Prime, Sanders had finally made their relationship Instagram official. No more whispers, no more blurry paparazzi shots. This was a full hard launch. Matching smiles, cozy photos, and captions that screamed, "We're together, deal with it." It should have been a moment of pure couple bliss, but Tracy's post landed like a bomb right in the middle of it. See, for weeks, the streets have been buzzing about how close Karrueche and Deion have been getting, even before anyone had said the word dating. Now that they were openly a couple, Tracy's choice to suddenly post a shady, thinly veiled message about fake friends and snakes in the grass had the internet convinced she was firing her first public shot at the woman who allegedly slid right into her spot. And this is where things get messy. Because according to people in the know, Tracy and Deion's split wasn't as clean-cut as it seemed. When they called it quits, there were still late-night phone calls, lingering texts, and the kind of unfinished business that keeps the door cracked open just enough for hope, or trouble, to walk through. Which means that if Karrueche made her move before that door was fully shut, we're not talking about harmless new romance. We're talking about overlap, the kind of overlap that turns whispers into accusations and friends into enemies. Now the question on everyone's mind is simple. Was this just petty timing from an ex who doesn't like seeing her old flame move on? Or did Karrueche actually swoop in while the ring was still on Tracy's finger, smiling in her face while texting her man on the low? Whatever the truth is, Tracy's post made one thing very clear. She's not done talking. And if this was her opening move, the next one might not be so subtle. See, the thing about Deion and Tracy's so-called breakup is it never really felt final. When the news first dropped that their 11-year relationship was over, it came with polite joint statements, mutual respect, and even photos that didn't exactly scream, "We're done here." No bitterness, no unfollowing sprees, no property being split in half, just a soft fade out. And for a lot of people watching, it looked less like a clean break and more like a cooling off period. Tracy was still showing up to events that felt very Coach Prime adjacent, and Deion was still liking a suspicious number of her posts. Fans noticed that neither one seemed fully ready to let go, which is why what happened a few months later had everybody's antennas shooting straight up. Enter the NFL draft. Cameras were everywhere. The energy was high. And guess who popped up in Deion's circle like she'd been part of the team all along? Karrueche Tran. At first, people assumed she was there to support Shedeur Sanders, Deion's son and rising football star. The two had been linked in friendly social circles before. But then, the shots started rolling in. Karrueche wasn't just hanging out with a younger crowd. She was deep in Deion's section, laughing, smiling, and standing in that comfort zone people reserve for folks they know really well. By the end of the night, social media was already split into two camps. Camp 1 said, "Relax, she's just there for Shedeur." Camp 2 was less convinced, pointing out that the body language between Karrueche and Deion was way too familiar for someone who was supposedly just a family friend. And here's where the confusion started to snowball. Because around the same time, Tracy was still speaking about Deion in ways that hinted they were on good terms, maybe even still keeping a toe in the relationship pool. But if Karrueche was already orbiting that close to him back then, it raises the obvious, messy question. Was she actually there for the son, or was she planting seeds with the dad? It's that kind of fuzzy overlap, the kind you can't quite prove, but can't unsee either, that turns a regular celebrity breakup into a full-on gossip grenade. And from that moment forward, people were watching every move Karrueche made around Deion like it was a slow-burn reality show plotline. If the NFL draft sighting had fans side-eyeing, the moment that came next blew any doubt clean out of the water. Forget soft launches, blurry paparazzi pics, or "we're just friends" denials. Karrueche Tran made it crystal clear who she was rocking with when she stepped straight into one of the most intimate, vulnerable moments of Deion Sanders' life. The setting? A hospital room. The reason? Deion's battle with bladder cancer. This was not a flashy red carpet or a vacation in Turks and Caicos. This was tubes, monitors, and a man facing a terrifying health fight. And right there at his bedside, hand in hand, smiling through the pain, was Karrueche. It wasn't just the sight of them together that hit the public. It was how she was presented. Photos and clips started circulating of Karrueche sitting close, looking like the definition of ride or die, as if she'd been there from day one. Fans didn't know whether to be touched by the loyalty or shocked that this was the moment they chose to go public. Because let's be real, this wasn't just a show of support. It was a statement. This is my man, and I'm here to stay. The internet exploded. Some people were genuinely moved, calling her a real one for stepping up in his time of need. Others couldn't help but rewind the tape, remembering that just months earlier, Tracy was still in the picture, still speaking warmly about Deion, and still carrying herself like a woman who had unfinished business with her ex. And then, as if the situation wasn't messy enough, Antonio Brown decided to slide into the chat. The former NFL wide receiver and perpetual controversy magnet took to social media with a jab so ruthless it instantly went viral. Karrueche riding for a man with no bladder or toes. A reference to Deion's past surgeries and amputations from blood clots. It was crude, it was disrespectful, and also added fuel to the growing fire of public scrutiny over this sudden, very public romance. Fans started posting side-by-side photos, Tracy in old couple pics, Karrueche in the hospital shots, with captions like same bed, different woman. Celebrity blogs ran with headlines like from the draft to the diagnosis, the timeline that's breaking the internet. And shady commenters swore this was less about true love and more about a perfectly timed PR pivot. Because here's the thing, going public in a hospital bed is a power move. It's a declaration that bypasses months of speculation and stamps a relationship in the public record for good. But when that declaration comes in the middle of a health crisis, it's not just a love story. It's a headline. And for Karrueche and Deion, it turned their relationship into one of the most talked about and debated hookups of the year. Just when the public thought the mess was confined to speculation and shady Instagram posts, media veteran Claudia Jordan cracked the whole thing open. In a recent interview, Claudia casually dropped a bomb that turned this from a maybe it's messy situation into full-blown betrayal territory. According to Claudia, Tracey Edmonds and Karrueche Tran weren't strangers floating in the same celebrity orbit. They were friendly. Not besties braiding each other's hair on Sunday afternoons, but friendly enough to be in the same rooms, have conversations, and share mutual respect. And here's where it gets spicier. Claudia says Tracy didn't find out about Karrueche and Deion's budding connection from the blogs. She confronted Karrueche before the romance went public. Yep, Tracy allegedly pulled her aside, woman to woman, and straight up asked if anything was going on between her and Deion. Karrueche's answer? According to Claudia, it was a flat-out denial. No, absolutely not. The kind of denial you give when you want to shut a rumor down cold. Which means that when those hospital bed pictures dropped months later, the whole thing hit like a slap in the face, because whether or not something was technically happening at the time, the optics now make that denial look shady at best, and a bold-faced lie at worst. For fans, this revelation reframed everything. Suddenly, Karrueche wasn't just a new girlfriend. She was the woman who looked Tracy in the eye, denied any involvement, and then popped up in the most intimate moment of Deion's life. The internet didn't just see a romance anymore. They saw a plot twist. But here's where the knife twists deeper. Word on the street is Tracy wasn't just a casual acquaintance to Karrueche. She was an ally, a quiet supporter behind the scenes. Industry whispers say that back when Karrueche was still climbing the acting ladder, Tracy allegedly opened a few doors for her. Introductions to casting directors, production contacts, those subtle but powerful nods that can shift a career from just another pretty face to booked and busy. Now imagine you've helped someone navigate that brutal Hollywood grind, only to have them circle back and, allegedly, cozy up to your man while the ink on your breakup papers is still drying. For Tracy supporters, it's the textbook definition of career gratitude turning into romantic betrayal. Fans online started calling it the ultimate backstab, while gossip pages began digging up old photos of Tracy and Karrueche smiling together at events. The captions wrote themselves, from red carpets to hospital beds, how friendship turned to fallout. The emotional sting isn't just about love lost, it's about trust. Because when someone you've championed, supported, maybe even mentored, ends up in your ex's arms, it doesn't just hurt your heart. It bruises your pride. And for Tracy Edmonds, whose public image has always been one of grace and composure, the fact that she's even allowing subtle shade to slip through tells you everything. This cut went deep. Before we paint this whole scandal as Karrueche swooping in and stealing a good man, we need to zoom out and look at Deion Sanders' relationship resume. Because if history teaches us anything, it's that primetime has a type and a track record. Over the years, Deion's name has been attached to more than a few cheating rumors. Former teammates, sports reporters, and even his own exes have painted a picture of a man who likes to keep multiple options on the field, from younger women in his orbit to flirty encounters with fitness instructors. But the most explosive allegations came from his ex-wife, Pilar Sanders. During their very public and very messy divorce, Pilar didn't just hint at infidelity. She practically dropped a roster. In court filings, she accused Deion of stepping out with multiple women over the years, including one particularly eyebrow-raising claim, that he had been involved with an 18-year-old. That allegation alone set the internet on fire at the time, with critics accusing Deion of blurring lines between mentorship and something far more questionable. And here's where the irony starts to sharpen, because in that same whirlwind of accusations, Pilar once accused another woman of being part of Deion's cheating history, and that woman was none other than Tracy Edmonds. Yep, according to Pilar's legal filings, Tracy Edmonds wasn't just some future girlfriend waiting in the wings. She was allegedly the other woman, while Pilar and Deion were still married. In fact, court documents named Tracy specifically, painting her as one of the reasons Pilar's marriage unraveled. Now fast forward to today, and the narrative writes itself. The same woman who was once accused of being on the receiving end of a messy love triangle is now hinting that she's the victim of one. And this is where social media thrives. You lose them how you get them narrative. For every comment defending Tracy, there's another one digging up those old court records and throwing them back in her face. It's brutal, but it's the internet's favorite kind of irony. The public doesn't just see a woman wronged. They see a karmic loop. Tracy once allegedly stood where Karrueche stands now. And if Pilar's accusations had even a shred of truth, that means Tracy is now tasting her own medicine. The result? Her moral high ground is shaky at best. Every subtle shade post she drops gets met with screenshots of those old legal documents. Every sympathetic headline gets buried under reminders of her own rumored role in breaking up someone else's marriage. And whether or not Tracy's past with Deion started during his marriage, the optics are so full circle that the internet doesn't even need the receipts to run with it. To them, this isn't just a scandal, it's a karmic rerun. Behind the polished Instagram quotes and cryptic posts, people close to the situation claim Tracy Edmonds has a very specific take on Karrueche's romance with Deion Sanders, and it's not flattering. Allegedly, Tracy doesn't believe Karrueche is in this for love. She sees it as a strategic move, the same playbook she thinks Karrueche has run before, where romance isn't just about chemistry, it's about financial security and social elevation. To back up that suspicion, critics online are dragging out Karrueche's dating history. She's been linked to high-profile, wealthy men before, most famously Chris Brown, then NFL star Victor Cruz. And in the rumor mill's memory bank, there's also that alleged fling with Quavo from Migos, which supposedly came with its own side of betrayal. At the time, whispers claimed Quavo had been seeing someone in Karrueche's circle, sparking another friend violation debate. To Tracy, all of this paints a pattern. Karrueche doesn't just date, she upgrades. And with Deion's status, money, and public platform, Tracy allegedly believes this relationship is the ultimate level up. The public's divided. Some think Tracy's just bitter and spinning a narrative to save face, while others see the receipts stacking and can't ignore the deja vu. But here's where it gets even more strategic. Notice how Tracy hasn't gone on Instagram Live, hasn't done a tell-all, hasn't even tagged Karrueche directly. Instead, she's letting Claudia Jordan, a media veteran who knows how to stir a pot without burning her own hands, do the heavy lifting. By letting Claudia leak the friend connection and confirm that Tracy confronted Karrueche before the romance went public, Tracy gets her side of the story out there without taking the full heat. It's calculated damage control, a way to plant seeds in the public's mind without risking a direct social media war she might not win. And the real question is, was this just the appetizer? Because if this was the soft, warning shot, a single interview and some cryptic shade, then what happens if Tracy decides to go fully public? People in the industry are already whispering about receipts, screenshots, texts, Maybe even timelines that could prove overlap between Tracy's relationship with Deion and Karrueche's arrival in the picture. If she drops those receipts, this could go from messy to career-damaging fast. So now, the cliffhanger hanging over this whole situation is simple. If this was the light tap on the shoulder, what happens when Tracy decides to swing?